Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 64. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Tomorrow, chance of thunderstorms. High temperatures reach up to 84. Get weather anytime by calling 824-6101 or online at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Currently, it's 60 degrees.
WTIM.
You're listening to WTIM, your information station. Time now for your expanded local news. I'm Reed Kamai. This first story is part 2 of a 5-part series detailing the potential data center to Christian County. The Hart Media Group sat down with Ken Lober with Eagle Rock Partners on Tuesday to discuss the potential community concerns of a data center in Christian County. The Hart Media Group posted these audio responses in their entirety, completely unedited, with the responses from Lober for the public. First, the Hart Media Group asked, how many jobs will this project bring to Christian County, both construction jobs and permanent jobs?
Yeah, fully built out, the full campus once it's operational will have roughly 500 jobs. They will break down into 4 general areas. 30% of them will be network and IT jobs. Again, those skills may or may not reside in Christian County. There are other folks that have built entrepreneurial tech companies. The next 30% would be facility management jobs. These are complex buildings, heavy on mechanical, heavy on electrical, heavy on plumbing. Those the systems all have to be maintained, they have to be upgraded, they have to be able to be adapted. So those jobs are another 30%. And then these are secure environments. These are hyperscale, large learning model, LLM, large language model data centers that are very secure. So there's a healthy amount of security on the project. And then the last 10% are admin jobs. AP, AR, clerks, others. So, that in total, and those jobs on average are $90,000 to $105,000. Some higher, some lower. So there are good paying jobs with careers that are growing in our industry, and that's the permanent job. On the construction side, because we are developing a multi-building campus on a schedule that's matched to the delivery of power, it's going to be over a 5 to 7 year period. This is not where everybody comes in for 2 years, banks out the campus and leaves. So the good news about that is we can build skills. We don't expect to put a shovel in the ground until 2028 because the power won't be available until a year and a half after that. So, let's say we've got a high school senior that wants to be in the building trades. They have plenty of time to learn their skills, to become a journeyman, to go get their technical expertise to be able to then fill those roles. But 1,000 construction jobs is pretty meaningful over that 5 to 7 year period.
All right. Next, the Hart Media Group asked, what will be the tax implications of a project like this?
There are 2 sides to taxes. Well, there's many sides to taxes, especially in Illinois, but 2 general sides. You have real estate, building real estate taxes, and then you've got sales taxes. The building investment is roughly $6 billion, fully built out campus. We are not asking for any incentives, any pilot, any tax incentives off of that. It's just not our current industry. I'm not trying to do this and pat ourselves in the back. It's just not our current industry. These are big, complex projects. We should pay our fair share. Inside of the building, there'll be chips, racks, and servers that are subject to sales tax, and that's dealt with at a state level by whoever this is, whether it's Microsoft or Amazon or Google or whoever may be in the building. But on the property tax, that $6 billion worth of investment, fully built out between now and 2031, we believe generates about $85 million worth of tax revenue on an annualized basis to all the people that receive taxes. Schools, Lincoln, the community college, Bear Creek Township, and all the 5 or 6 different entities. But for schools alone, it's north of $40 million. So, and that's annualized. And those are good problems to have, to put more resources into the community, to be able to figure out a way to be able to do more with less.
Stay tuned to Taylorville Daily News for all the latest on the data center information. To date, no data center information has been sent to the county and no paperwork has been filed. And again, this story was part 2 of a 5-part series. The full story is available on our website, TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Illinois lawmakers have approved a nearly $56 billion state budget following an overnight legislative session that began Sunday evening and continued into the early hours of Monday morning. The $55.9 billion spending plan includes less spending than Governor J.B. Pritzker proposed in February and is supported by a similar amount of projected revenue. House Bill 111, the budget measure, passed the Illinois Senate 37-21 shortly after 3 in the morning on Monday and cleared the House 76-39 at approximately 4:15 in the morning. Lawmakers then moved on to the budget implementation bill, House Bill 2949. The revenue package, Senate Bill 3019, passed the House 73-41 around 11:15 at night on Sunday and was approved by the Senate around 12:30 in the morning on Monday. Both votes were supported entirely by Democrats. No Republican lawmakers voted for the budget, although some said they were more involved in the budget process than in recent years. The plan also includes an $830 million supplemental spending package for the current fiscal year. Democrats had sought broader revenue measures, including taxes on large corporations and billionaires, but ultimately approved provisions that freeze corporate net operating losses and impose taxes on social media companies, digital assets, fantasy sports, tobacco products, and sports betting on prediction market websites. To address affordability concerns, lawmakers delayed a planned 1.3-cent gas tax increase from July 1st until January and created a sales tax holiday on school supplies from August 7th through August 16th. Republicans argued the relief measures do not go far enough, noting the gas tax increase will still take effect after the upcoming elections. The budget was developed amid economic uncertainty tied to federal policy changes and international tensions, including the war in Iran. Budget analysts have recently lowered expectations, citing growing pessimism about the economy. The plan also increases total funding for local governments by maintaining their share of state income tax revenue at 6.47%, allowing payments to grow through natural revenue increases. Governor Pritzker had proposed reducing that percentage. Additional funding is included for K-12 education, higher education, pensions, and evidence-based school funding. Governor Pritzker states that this budget would be aimed at protecting working Illinois families and would help defend against inflation costs on certain things such as buying a car, groceries, or what consumers have to deal with at the gas pump. Pritzker also mentioned that he believes this bill will push the state into the biggest form of economic growth that Illinois has ever seen.
We have closed out yet another productive session for the Illinois General Assembly, one that focuses on lowering costs for everyday Illinoisans and protecting the state's fiscal health. 7.5 years ago, we inherited budget turmoil and steady erosion of our pension funded ratio. Responsible budgeting in Illinois is now the rule, not the exception. As a result, Illinois now finds itself in the strongest financial position in decades. Our improved fiscal situation and new economic priorities have allowed us to make investments that have set us up for the largest amount of economic growth ever in state history. Our state's revitalization is thanks to the partnership that the executive branch has had with a majority in the General Assembly, making the right kinds of investments and within responsible budgets like the one that we just passed.
Other legislators, such as Republican Senator Steve McClure, voted no on the passing of this specific budget. According to Senator McClure, he voted no because it is, as he put it, yet again another year of a record high budget and more tax increases.
Senator McClure, the budget has passed. You voted no. Why?
Well, here we are yet again, and the governor still hasn't learned that his policies are killing our state. We have the highest budget of all time, yet again, year after year after year. He's causing taxes and fees to increase, and he's ignoring all of our constituents who are struggling to pay energy costs and just trying to make it through in a very difficult time, and the governor is not helping them at all. So it's a very disappointing budget yet again. The governor has shut us out of the process, and it's all about more taxes, more spending, and forgetting the average person who needs to get by in our state.
Speaking from the Democratic side, Illinois State Comptroller Susana Mendoza also weighed in on the new budget. In a recent press release, Comptroller Mendoza showed no issues with the budget and said, quote, "I am pleased to see the state legislature conclude their work on time to pass a state budget for the new fiscal year beginning July 1st. The fiscal year 2027 budget provides for a spending plan of $55.9 billion. It maintains stable funding for state government services and funds key state priorities for needs like K-12 education, MAP grants for college students, social and human services, nursing homes, public safety, and safety net hospitals, while also acknowledging more could be done in future budgets for the Critical Access Pharmacy Program and for community-based service providers, end quote. Another legislator in disagreement is Republican State Representative Brad Halbrook, who believes that this new budget plan will not be as perfect as Governor Pritzker and the bill's supporters may think. State Representative Halbrook claims that this is another, quote, smoke and mirrors, end quote, form of trickery to mask the budget's real plan to allegedly hike taxes.
I'm State Representative Brad Halbrook. Today, the governor presented a budget that spends over $55 billion, an increase of $2 billion over the previous year, an increase of nearly 40% in state spending since the governor took office 6 years ago. The proposed budget is filled with pretend cuts, aspirational revenue estimates, and budget gimmickry. Past history would indicate this governor and his supermajority in both chambers have never shown fiscal restraint, nor have they been willing to cut inefficient or underperforming programs. The governor has a constitutional obligation to present and sign a balanced budget, but recent history tells a different story. Just last spring, in the final hours of the legislative session, Democrats pushed through an unbalanced budget only to change the rules at 3 a.m. to pass a $1.2 billion tax hike on an unprecedented third vote. Make no mistake, this budget is a smoke and mirror scheme designed to justify yet another tax hike on hardworking Illinoisans, further cementing the Democrat agenda that is making Illinois politically uninhabitable.
Find out more about Illinois legislation and House and Senate bills at ilga.gov. And now, a word from First National Bank in Taylorville.
At First National Bank in Taylorville, just west of the square, we've spent 70 years being your local bank. The bank where relationships matter, because we've been part of this community for generations. I'm President Jared Beckham. Life moves fast. Families grow, businesses change, even banks come and go. But one thing stays the same. First National Bank in Taylorville has been here for you and will be here for the next generation too. Serving Taylorville for 70 years, First National Bank in Taylorville. First every time, member FDIC.
Pana schools will be without a number of faces after this school year. Not only has another class graduated, but 3 longtime faculty members are retiring. The changes come amid plenty to celebrate within the district, along with athletic venues set to move towards campus. Superintendent Jessica Miller spoke at the commencement. She used marigolds as a metaphor in her speech due to the characteristics of the flower.
I just loved hearing about what their goals are, what they anticipate for their futures. But a couple of the themes that I had within my my talk with the seniors the night of graduation was, one, gratitude. Practicing gratitude and how the practice of gratitude replaces those anxious thoughts. We have those difficult times where we get a little anxious, we get a little overwhelmed, things may be uncertain. But when you really step back and think of all the things that you're grateful for and all the good going on in your life, it helps replace those anxious thoughts. I also talked about marigolds. Marigolds are planted in gardens and in flower beds to help keep the pests and the weeds away, and talk to the graduating class about, being a marigold for other people, being supportive for others in your life, but also finding the people that will lift you up, that will be your marigolds for you, that will support you and help keep those weeds, those pests away. So those are my messages for the graduating class.
As for faculty, Gary Boker, Rebecca Mankey, and Travis Pierce are retiring at the end of this academic year. The trio have nearly a century of combined experience at Pana schools.
We actually held a retirement reception a couple of weeks ago at the high school commons that was very well attended by community members and faculty and staff. But first, we have Gary Boker, who's retiring from the district with 33 years of service. He taught at the high school, he teaches at the high school, teaches PE for us. He coached basketball for several years as well. Rebecca Mankey is retiring with 32 and a half years of service. She served the district as a Title I reading teacher. She worked at Washington Elementary School for several years and then transitioned to the elementary building whenever we constructed that new building. So she finished her career there. Also, we have Travis Pierce with 33 years of service. He has taught English language arts for us at the junior high level for several years. So quite a career, quite lengthy careers here, something to celebrate for them. And so we look forward to recognizing their years of service this afternoon.
Over the summer, maintenance teams will work on the baseball field. They will also be constructing soccer and softball fields on the campus so teams can play there instead of at fields multiple miles away.
We are very fortunate to have access to our 1% sales tax, and so we're using that money to fund this project. So looking forward to seeing our girls play on that field, beginning with junior high this fall, hopefully, and then continuing into the spring season. We also will see some work on our baseball diamond. The Painted Diamond Club is going to do a project there, and they're going to put turf on the baseball diamond. So we're hoping to see that project start up here within the next couple months. And then we are working on bringing our soccer teams onto our campus and having a space for them as well. In the past, soccer and softball have played their games and sometimes practiced out at Tanner Field, and we're bringing all of our sports as much as we can back to onto our campus, and we're excited about that. So hopefully soccer will be playing this fall on our campus as well.
Like they say in England, football's coming home. More information on Pana CUSD number 8 is available at panaschools.com. Jessica Miller appeared as a guest on the WTIM Morning Show. Active weather will ramp back up for most of Illinois this month, beginning with this weekend, where much of the state will receive an inch of rain, and that's according to DTN agriculture meteorologist John Baranek. The drought monitor shows southern Illinois ranging from abnormally dry to severe drought, and northern Illinois abnormally dry. Now to obituaries, which can be found at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. 72-year-old Robert Elmer Schomer of Taylorville died last Friday. A private graveside service will take place at Camp Butler National Cemetery. Cremation rites have been accorded, and a celebration of life will take place at a later date. Those arrangements are being handled by Moran and Goebel Funeral Home in Decatur. 77-year-old Robert L. Givens of Taylorville died last Thursday. Cremation rites have been accorded, and no services will be provided. 78-year-old Donald L. Yost of Taylorville died last Saturday. Visitation is today from 5 till 7 at Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. Military honors will immediately follow, and so too will a memorial service. Interment will be at a later date. Arrangements are being handled by Sutton Memorial Home in Taylorville. 94-year-old Ramona May Grundy of Morrisonville died on Monday. Visitation is today from 5 till 7 at Asali Funeral Home in Morrisonville. The funeral service is tomorrow at 10 at St. Maurice Catholic Church in Morrisonville. Burial will be at St. Maurice Cemetery. Arrangements are being handled by a Sally Funeral Home in Morrisonville. 89-year-old Arnold Arnie Hilliard of Taylorville died May 16th. A celebration of life will take place Saturday from 1 till 4 at Taylorville Christian Church in Taylorville. The sharing of memories will take place at 2 at that same location. Cremation rights have been accorded, and he will be interred at Camp Butler National Cemetery at noon tomorrow. Arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Taylorville. And 79-year-old Rita Ann Harris of Taylorville died May 23rd. A celebration of life will take place on Sunday at 2 at the Family Lake House at 401 South Hunt Road in Taylorville. A prayer service will immediately follow. Arrangements are being handled by McClure Funeral Home and Cremation Services in Taylorville. Get local news anytime at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com and every hour as well right here on WTIM, your only local news radio. We expect